Okay, hello and welcome. It's that time. It must be 2 o'clock on a Friday, a Freaky Friday. That's right. It's May 22nd and 81 degrees. Beautiful degrees out there. Thanks for joining us. The Modern Eater Show continues, and what a week it's been. Jay Parker on the ones and twos. What's happening, Jay?
Yo, yo.
Myself, Greg Hollenbach. Busy show for you. And Memorial Day weekend straight ahead, and people are really getting itchy right now. You made it to the weekend, but what's ahead, I don't think anybody knows. There is rumblings on the street, and I'm going to actually make a poll for this right now. So thank you as you're joining us right now. Sharing is caring, and we'd love it if you liked us as well. But the poll for today is, do you support restaurants who decide to open their dining rooms this weekend? And it's going to be an interesting thing because yesterday on the stream, we spoke with Larry Herz at the end of the show, who said that about 60 restaurant owners were gathered up yesterday for a meeting. And that meeting was to see if they could organize themselves enough to have enough people, have enough businesses and restaurants, to have enough restaurants open this weekend that it's being together in numbers. I'm not so sure that they were able to come to any kind of agreement. They've gone to ground. We've reached out to everybody, including the organizers of that gathering yesterday, and the sentiment is, we're not telling.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you've looked at this enough, there are a lot of people doing the right things. When I say the right thing is next week, on Monday, the governor is supposed to give us reopening guidelines of what that's going to look like, and a lot of guesses are that June 1st that we'll be able to open up dining rooms in some capacity. Here's the rub. The folks that want to do this, these are the likes of the folks that tried to, on Mother's Day weekend, open up for a splash to put themselves out there that we would like to open up our restaurants. Well, it didn't go over very well because only a couple of them did that. It wasn't a very organized event. So by the likes of the folks, and we know the CNCs of the world in Colorado Springs, the folks that we talked to in Calhoun, Colorado, Jennifer Hewlin at Water's Edge Winery, those are the likes of the folks that are trying to open up right now. None of the restaurateurs or owner-operators that we know of in our circle are trying to go out on that limb. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. We are going to talk about it in length. But right now we want to turn to Bob Pease from the Brewers Association. And again, get in on that poll. The poll says, do you support restaurants who decide to open their dining rooms this weekend? That's a question we would love for you to answer. Bob Pease, the Brewers Association. Here's another gentleman right now, and the news came down the pipe. First of all, welcome, Bob. How are you?
I'm well, my friend. How are you guys?
Good. We're seeing some interesting things as we roll into a holiday weekend here, and I think that we can all agree that people are looking to get back at it, Bob. Are you seeing that as well?
Oh, I think very much. And we are absolutely at the Brewers Association and in conjunction with the Colorado Brewers Guild paying very close attention to the guidance that the governor has, promised to issue on Monday the 25th with regards to restaurants reopening. We're hopeful that, he is also taking into consideration proper guidance for how breweries and their tap rooms will reopen safely. We want to be leaders in that equation and be part of the solution. But, man, it is critical that we get breweries and tasting rooms back open and opening in a safe and responsible manner.
There was an analogy of, and I get both sides. It's a very polarized argument. It's either yes or it's no. There's not really anybody in the middle. I guess everybody has an opinion on this. But one of the analogy that really resonates with me is it's like being in prison for 5 years and then deciding to break out with 5 days left before you're paroled. It just doesn't make sense to go against the grain right now. You've come this far.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we, first and foremost, we encourage our members, and I'm sure the Colorado Brewers Guild does the same, is, you start by following the law, right? You follow the regulations that have been put forth by our public officials. We just hope that, they are, and I'm sure they are, considering all of the, impacts of, what their decisions will have on small business and all of those businesses and all of those employees.
That is not why you are here today. Thank you,
I
Bob.
can talk politics all day long, man.
I know. It's interesting. And, we're living it right now. This is going to be interesting to see what side of history all of this is on as we look back.
Yeah.
And, again, we will look back. And I think people right now are just trying to make the right decisions. And I think that's a great segue to the Brewers Association and decision that you had to make with your team, Bob. Would you go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah, we made the painful decision this week to cancel the festival portion of the 2020 Great American Beer Festival. It was scheduled for September 24th to the 26th. I think that's right. At our home at the Colorado Convention Center in downtown Denver. But there are a combination of factors that really, kind of forced our hand. On one hand, we really, really wanted to be able to put on the GABF this year. But at the same time, there's such a high degree of uncertainty around large events. We were not seeing a path forward where we were confidently going to be able to execute the festival in a responsible and safe manner. And the safety of the attendees, our guests, our volunteers, our brewers, our staff is paramount to us. So we're weighing all that on one hand, and then the decision came down from the city and from the state of Colorado that they're going to extend the use of the convention center as an auxiliary medical facility potentially to the end of the year. So with all of those variables being put into the hopper, we made the decision, painful as it is, but we think the right one, to cancel the festival portion of the GABF.
I would have to say to you, Bob, that I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I was kind of wondering if and when that decision would be made, and I really know you guys at the Brewers Association and beyond put your heart and soul into this event, and as you're sitting around the round table and have smarter brains get together and you say, what does this look like? What are we seeing here? And I think at the end of the day, the Great American Beer Festival is that as an experience for all of us, a very intimate gathering. As large as it is, it's a very intimate gathering of family and friends, and we get together, and changing the complexion of that for a pandemic and a one-year thing would have really been quite the undertaking. It wouldn't have resembled anything that we knew. I think it's the right call. It preserves in our minds and in our heart what the Great American Beer Festival represents to us. And I think that changing it for 1 year, putting it on the bench for a year, was probably the best thing to do, because when we look to revamp and get back at it again, we're not going to have this strange feeling of, wow, that was a weird year last year, meaning this year coming up, of what that Great American Beer Festival would look like. Because let's face it, I'm sure you were trying to do everything you could to have an in-person beer festival, right? But what were some of the things that you were kicking around internally of what that would have looked like? Could you share some of those things to where, if you were to do it, what that would have looked like?
Yeah, we looked at a number of different options. We looked at potentially holding the GABF in December. But then, for every person you talk to, then they say, well, that's there's going to be a second wave of COVID-19 hitting in the fall, in conjunction with the annual, flu that we see. So that, gave us pause. We looked at, was there a way to provide safe social distancing with a reduced number of tickets, like you're seeing some of the professional sports teams kick around. But at the end of the day, the complexity of the GABF, it's like moving a battleship to get something to change. 800 breweries, 3,000 beers, over 2,000 volunteers. It is massive, and we just did not see the path forward on a reduced size festival, and primarily from the safety perspective, we just did not see, even with a quarter, say sell a quarter of the normal tickets, how is that really going to be safe right now? And just didn't seem like it was the responsible thing to do.
Too many unknowns for an event that was in the fall, and obviously, if you were to plan that event today, you would plan it to the complexion of what today looks like. And as we know, it's so fluid in what we're seeing, and yesterday's truth doesn't mean that it wasn't true, but today's truth is different, and tomorrow's truth is going to be different than today's. But if you're planning an event for what today looks like, I think that's a very unfair representation to be able to do that months ahead of time. Now, listen, hindsight's 20/20, right? I mean, you may look back and go, "Why in the world did we cancel this event? I wish we would have kept it on." But you have to have a solid plan. So your solid plan going forward, and I think it's a great one, is put on hold. Let's put this on hold for 1 year, and that's got to be a painstaking realization because of the amount of revenue that I know helps support the Brewers Association through the Great American Beer Festival. That's a reality that nobody wants to face, and I'm sure you just shudder when you think of the losses that you occur from that. But the really important thing through the community is the judging of the beers and the quality of the beers and having those come in. That's something you're not going to let go.
Yeah, that's correct. We're very happy that we're confident that we can move forward with the competition aspect of the Great American Beer Festival. I mean, for people that are in the beer world, they understand that there's really two paths or two buckets of the Great American Beer Festival. There's the public festival component, which people buy tickets for and everybody sees. But if you're in the brewing industry, the being part of the competition is every bit as important, if not more important, than the festival. And we have done our due diligence. We've done our homework. We're confident that we can secure the appropriate number of judges to travel to Colorado in the fall and participate in the competition. We have surveyed participating breweries from last year and have over 70% of the respondents indicated they were willing and wanted to take part in the competition. We think it'll be scaled down. Last year's competition had about 10,000 entries and 109 different beer style categories. This year, we're planning for somewhere in the neighborhood between 6,000 and 8,000 entries and in 90 different beer style categories. But we have the space. We have the judges. We think we'll get the beers. And it's important to be able to continue to run the competition because the results of the competition, when you win a medal at the Great American Beer Festival, that really serves to validate your brewing excellence. If this year, say there's 7,000 entries and 90 beer style categories, you've got about a 4 to 5% chance of winning a medal. So when you win a medal at the GABF competition, which we think is the most prestigious, the best run and competition in the world, it's a real, validation of your brewing excellence, and then you can use that to promote your beer, your brewery, and the entire collective brand of American craft brewing.
And let's face it, that validation from the Brewers Association and winning a medal, it sparks commerce. Just like when James Beard puts out their nominees for best in class, folks are looking to go to their restaurants and eat that food and be near those chefs. And I think the same thing holds true with brewers. I think economically it completely makes sense as a viable thing for folks to be able to not only get the recognition that they deserve, but to have some sort of revenue stream coming in because of it. And I think that's important to keep, especially right now.
Yeah, we're really excited that we're going to be able to do the competition, and we're also going to incorporate what we're calling the hometown GABF, the virtual hometown GABF. So you're seeing a lot of different events and activities pivot to a virtual model, and we're going to try to do the same with the 2020 Great American Beer Festival. We're beginning. We're not in the starting blocks for planning, but we're certainly not at the finish line either. So it's a little bit difficult what to say, what the virtual GABF will comprised of, but we're thinking about, beer tastings, live, and maybe some pre-recorded conversations with rock star brewers, trying to figure out ways that we can do at brewery activations and hopefully drive business, drive the beer drinker to breweries to participate in the virtual GABF so that, breweries share in the excitement. And then we're also looking at maybe there's a way to incorporate something, some element of the paired part of Great American Beer Festival. So maybe some beer and food pairings for home delivery. So we've got a lot of creative people at the Brewers Association. Our events directors, Nancy Johnson. I've worked together for over 25 years. Her and her team, they do an amazing job, and we're so fortunate to have them leading our events team, and I know it's going to be awesome.
This content streaming game is not an easy thing. I can tell you, Jay Parker, he was 20 years old when he started, and now he's in his 50s. And we've done this for a little while now. But hey, listen, if you guys need any advisor on the advisory board for how this would look online, we'd be happy to step in and consult on any possible way.
Yeah, appreciate that, you guys. Really appreciate that. Yeah, because we're learning as we go, like a lot of people. We have pivoted. When we canceled the Craft Brewers Conference, we presented all of our seminars online for free to the entire brewing community, and so we learned a lot from that. And we're also now offering. We had to cancel the Homebrewers Conference in 2020 that was set for Nashville, and so we're doing HomebrewCon online, which is going to take place at the end of June. So we're learning from that. But yeah, we're learning as we go. But we're not experts yet. So I appreciate the offer of assistance.
Absolutely. Just to do a little bit of housekeeping here, Bob Pease here with us, and he is the president and CEO of the Brewers Association, joining us with a heavy heart as the announcement has been made a couple of days ago. It came down the pipe to where this year it's going to be suspended. It won't happen. There will be an online presence, but the Great American Beer Festival, as you know it, at the Convention Center will not take place this year. We're having the conversation right now. Katie Lazor, 245 from Eats Denver, will join us on the stream to talk about reopenings of restaurants as well. There is a poll out there. There are rumblings of restaurants that will be reopening this weekend without the nod from the state. The poll is, do you support restaurants who decide to open their dining rooms this weekend? The outcome so far is 38 yeses and 50 noes. 38 yeses and 50 noes as we keep that poll going as well. So we're going to check in with Katie Lazor, 245. In the meantime, talking to Bob Pease, and there's a few more questions that I have you while I have you here. So we talk about the Great American Beer Festival not taking place. You did say that you looked at other venues, Bob. Is that correct?
Yeah, we looked at other venues, other dates, scaled down event. We really wanted to put on the 2020 Great American Beer Festival, for our brewers, for our community, for the city and county of Denver. But in the end, it just did not. With the level of uncertainty, every time we turned a corner, it was maybe.
Yeah,
and for an event the size of the Great American Beer Festival, that just doesn't work.
I know we mentioned this, what a hit to the Brewers Association as far as a revenue stream, but you might have some of these numbers. You talked about the city and county of Denver, and what a loss. There's a lot of off-site Great American Beer Festival events that are going on as well. Are there any kind of numbers of what that particular week or the 2 weeks of revenue that comes into the city from the Great American Beer Festival? Do you have any of those numbers, Bob?
Oh yeah, we do. We do an economic impact survey every year, and last year it was $35 million in economic impact to the city and county of Denver. We look at we block off thousands of hotel rooms. Hotel room nights is what they call them. And then from there, the impact around the city. I mean, it's really cool to see how during GABF over the last 5 to 7 years, how it's really becoming a full week celebration where there's as much going on outside the convention center as there is going on inside the convention center. And then we are driving business to beer-friendly restaurants and beer bars, all over, all over the city, but also all up and down the Front Range. I mean, there's brewery tours, going to Fort Collins to Boulder. So it's a big blow to the city and the county and Denver, as well as to the Brewers Association. Denver's been our home since 1984. And Jim Cook one time, a couple years ago, Jim Cook from Boston Beer said, the Great American Beer Festival was the most important beer event on the planet, even superseding Oktoberfest. And I tend to agree with him. The United States is the best country in the world to, A, be a beer lover, or B, to be a brewer. There is more innovation, more excitement, more dynamism happening in the American craft brewing scene than any time in the world's history. So to take a step back from that this year definitely hurts.
So there has to be talks, Bob, of how can that $35 million, a portion of that, still stay alive? I mean, in a day and age to where restaurants and breweries need those events more than ever and need that revenue stream.
Yeah.
Are there talks on how that can continue this year, even without the Great American Beer Festival going on?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think, what we're focused on right now is trying to determine, how many breweries will want to participate in a virtual Great American Beer Festival. Is it 500 or is it 5,000? We hope it's more towards the latter, because then if there's a lot of interest from the brewing community, we can drive former ticket purchasers into those breweries to help support the breweries. And so right now, that's kind of what our events team is putting their pen to paper on, is what does that budget look like for how many breweries will participate in a virtual event, and then how many ticket purchasers from previous Great American Beer Festivals and just beer lovers that are in our network would sign up to be part of it.
May I lend a suggestion? It's probably junk, but as we're brainstorming, you know how the NFL draft took place this year and coaches did it for their own homes? Couldn't breweries do their submissions and have their people around them and be inside of their breweries and zoom in with that and kind of create that event atmosphere from their brewery themselves?
You're spot on, and we're having conversations right around, how can we make the virtual GABF look like the NFL draft? Where our heads are right now is, making the award ceremony the centerpiece of the virtual GABF. I mean, there's always a lot of interest from the community that supports small and independent craft brewers to be part of the competition, to be part of the award ceremony, and due to space constraints, what have you, we always each year have to keep that limited to the participating breweries, their employees, what have you. Now there's an opportunity to peel back the curtain and to give the beer enthusiast, the beer lover, the opportunity to see how the sausage is made, kind of, what goes into the competition. And we're excited to be able to show the beer lover some of that, because we're very, very proud of how we organize the competition, we're always talking about protecting the integrity of the competition, and people will be very, very impressed when they see the level of professionalism that goes into our competition, and they'll have they'll know what that value of that medal means even more so. So yeah, we are definitely talking NFL draft, GABF competition.
Man, it done right, you might not go back on that portion, because truly to see Sam Calagione do his deal at their brewery, whoever the brewery is, but it turns into an international participating event at that point in time. And I just think that that's a really cool model if you could just get that pulled off, and maybe that's a silver lining thing. Okay, two more things with you. We've seen numbers of 10% up, big beer 10% up, and my guess is because the distribution channels and restaurants turned on their ear that the beer can't get to the market, the craft beer can't get to the consumer. But 10% up, is it a familiarity thing? Are people just going with what's closest to them? Why are we seeing this rise in this fall?
Well, like any complex question like that, it's a complex answer that is not, it's a variety of different elements that go into the answer. One, I would say that, and we've talked about this, I think, a little bit previously, is that if you're a craft brewer, small and independent craft brewer, and you put your beer into bottles or cans right now, good chance you've seen a bump in your sales to the off premise as well.
Good.
So a lot of breweries are craft breweries around the country are up in the off premise, but that's kind of the good news. The bad news is that there's been a focus by both the distributors and the retailers to really limit the number of brands or SKUs that they are carrying or promoting. And so you're seeing the beer drinker, return to brands that they feel very familiar with, that they're comfortable with. So that's why you see some of the iconic brands like Bud Light or Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
We're seeing that with spirits as well. So
Yeah,
across
there's
the
a little
board.
there's a little less experimentation from the beer drinker, which I think during when I don't know what when they use the word pandemic, that's not a good thing. And so you cannot kind of understand that people revert back to what they're most comfortable with, or it's kind of their safety zone. But we know that the demand from the beer drinker for the beers that are the hallmark of craft brewing, that showcase innovation, experimentation. The demand for those is not going anywhere. So certainly, one of the things we're working on at the Brewers Association is how can we help our brewers, get those beers to market? How can we, improve what is called their access to market? So that's great that if you're a craft brewery and you have 6 core brands and 2 of them are up, but we want to make sure that it's the beer drinker at the end of the day that is determining what's on the shelf and what's on tap, and then let the chips fall where they may. And we think, once the world comes back to normal, which slowly it is, that there'll be a market reset somewhere along those lines. But, we do worry, we track carefully, like, big off-premise retailers, they do shelf sets, 2, 3 times a year where they predetermine which brands they're going to carry. And, we think it's quite possible that in this fall season of shelf sets that small and independent craft brewers will probably take a hit and how much shelf space is allotted to them. But we're also confident that that those will kind of autocorrect in the future.
Last one. Are there any hard numbers on the attrition that's happened right now with breweries?
Not yet. We talk to state guild leaders every day on a WebEx call on Thursday, and so we're tracking it very closely. Certainly less than 100 that we know of, directly. But again, when a business closes, they don't necessarily call you up and say, "Hey, it closed." Kind of like it is when they open. But we were seeing about probably 60% of breweries that have applied, receive PPP funding, and in some cases EIDL funding. So that's really helped. We are working actively in the Congress right now to try to change some of the parameters on that PPP program. So, that 8-week time period is really, really problematic. And we're trying to, we're advocating with our champions, and there's a bill in Congress right now that does extend that time period from a longer than 8-week time period. But no, we don't have any hard numbers yet. We're hopeful that, a lot of them will be able to make it out to the other side. They've pivoted to different distribution and beer selling models, beer to go, home delivery. And that's, really, allowed some breweries to keep the lights on. What we worry about is, when restaurants, bars reopening, like we're talking about at the beginning of the show, and those places are only allowed to have 30% capacity or 50% capacity, which we understand from a public safety perspective. But this is the busiest time of year for breweries, for restaurants, and if you're only generating 30 to 50% of the revenue you generated last year, and then you've been closed for 11 to 12 weeks, that could be that could be the tipping point for a lot of these businesses.
Tough road to hoe as we just grip and we vice for footing and positioning. One bright spot. Did you know yesterday a brewery opened for business here in Denver?
I saw that on social media.
Yeah, Spice Trade Brewing.
Pizza flag. I don't know. I see the sweatshirt here, the Spice Trade Brewing sweatshirt.
Well, yep. Jay's got the Spice Trade on. Yep, Spice Trade Brewery is open in the DTC, and they brand new place, and that's Jeff Tyler from Spice Trade. They had a location up in Arvada with the Yak and Yeti. But they've got another location, and I think that's a really cool sign that let's grow. Let's pick up and grow from there. Bob Pease, do you have anything that you want to leave us in closing?
I know your audience, your listeners already know this, but supporting small and independent business, not just breweries, is critical to the health of our local economy and the state economy. So I'd implore all of your listeners to do everything they can to support small business, small and independent breweries. And Monday was the conclusion of American Craft Beer Week, and it was very successful. Very scrappy grassroots program led by Julia Herz, and the hashtag was give craft beer. So I want to leave you with that: give craft beer.
Fantastic. Comment from the stream. Lee Alverson says, I've volunteered for GABF Team Cummings for over 11 years. In respect and honor of this, I'm going to drop a taster cup on my kitchen floor and shout, ooh.
Our kind of guy.
There you go. Thank you, Bob Pease. I appreciate your time. Brewers Association.
Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, you guys.
Keep punching, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
That's fantastic. A poll's coming out. I'm going to tell you what we've got so far with the poll, but right now let's have a message from our sponsor.
First, we partner with the best farmers in the world, and then we tell them, we will take it all. Process whole spices daily, blend custom spices to order, keep it fresh, safe, and flavorful, all so that you can get back to doing what you do best. So whether you're a restaurant, a food manufacturer, or an at-home cook, be sure to visit The Spice Guy at www.thespiceguyco.com.
Okay, back to the show. It's a Freaky Friday. Why is it a Freaky Friday? Well, I'll tell you what, another half an hour you're going to listen to my voice. But come 3 o'clock, Jay Parker's taking over. We're going to switch seats at 3 o'clock. Jay's going to be the host. I'm going to be the producer, and we're going to let it unfold the way it unfolds. I'm worried about myself, man. You do such a great job over there.
Well,
I mean I'm just sitting over here yapping.
Well, listen, we both know that's not true, and it'll be interesting.
It's 81 degrees outside, and thank you for joining us. What a week it's been. The Modern Eater Show continues, and you made it. Memorial Day weekend, and what a weekend it's going to be. You're seeing people that are itching to get back at it, and, it's like go to the reservoir, but don't get in the water. Go pick up food at a restaurant, but don't sit down. It's like, but don't do that. You can do this, but you can't do that. Well, the levee's going to break. And yesterday, Larry Herz at the end of the show told us that about 60 restaurateurs were together, and you can guess who the restaurant operators are that are at this meeting, that they met yesterday to talk about what it would look like if they all opened up their dining rooms over Memorial Day weekend. Now, listen, this weekend is a weekend where it is huge for revenue for restaurants. I mean, this is the weekend that puts you in the black, that carries you through for a while. And I put out a post yesterday, and Jay, you can believe this, but there's really nobody on the fence. It's either, do you support the restaurants that will open this weekend or do you not? Our poll on the stream right now, here's where it's at. Do you support restaurants who decide to open their dining rooms this weekend? 61 folks say yes, right? 76 say no. That's close.
Text line comes in, says, I support restaurants opening this weekend. Please, if someone doesn't feel safe going to a restaurant, then stay at home. For those who want to go, go. It should be a choice. Be smart about it and live your best life.
Everybody has an opinion on this. Now, I did reach out to everybody that I could A few people that were on the inside of this meeting, a few restaurant owners that were in this meeting. I'm going to leave their names out, but they chose not to speak about it. That tells me one of two things, right? It tells me that either there's something organized that's going to happen either this evening or this weekend or Memorial Day that they want to just do without a hitch. It's organized. These folks are together. It's going to be a big push, or it fell apart.
That sounds a lot like
they don't want to be the Water's Edge Winery. They don't want to be the CNC. They don't want to be, if that Mother's Day weekend, if on Mother's Day 50 places would have done that, I think it would have sent quite the message, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. They were left out on an island, those couple of businesses. I don't think they wanted it the same way this time around. So knowing the folks that do these types of, that go against the grain, and listen, one of the best analogies that I've gotten thus far, and you can comment on the stream, I'll read your comment, I don't care what it is. Go to the Modern Eater Facebook page and click on this stream or hit the text line and drop us a comment. We'll read your comment, no problem. One of the best analogies is this is like being in prison for 5 years, right? And then you decide to break out when having 5 days left before you parole. It just doesn't make sense. It's going to happen. We're going to open up these restaurants here real quick. But do you want to be, which side of the fence do you want to be on?
I mean, it's a good analogy, but it's skewed a little bit just by the fact, and what I think is dollars and cents for what a big weekend for a restaurant could do, in the way of mortgage and paying some bills. And I understand.
I'll just read the comments right now. Sources tell TME there are about 60 restaurant owners gathered right now talking about opening for dine-in this Memorial weekend. Do you support their decisions to open before the state lifts the dine-in restriction? Basically like the poll. Anita says nope. Sarah Carr says no, not until the authorities tell us it's safe. Barbara says absolutely not. I would hope they would all lose their business licenses. Kathy says nope. I will not support an establishment that refuses to put the safety of the community first. We don't have to like the current situation, but we all have to do our part so we can have our lives back. Lisa says no. They can hold off a little longer. James says Western Omelet 2. This is an interesting comment. James Sanchez. Western Omelet 2 will not open for dine-in until the government says we can. You remember when we went to Callahan, Colorado, Jay, with Western Omelet 3?
Yes, I do.
And Western Omelet 3, owned by Bill, very nice gentleman, opened their doors. You dig in a little bit deeper, Western Omelet 3 doesn't have a liquor license.
Correct.
Western Omelet 2 does.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you can read between the lines there, and think that's all of it. And I spoke to James for a few minutes, and he was
from Western Omelet.
From Western Omelet, too, and he wanted to come on, but he had a plan, so it didn't work out. But
Christy says, unpopular opinion. They should all be open. Stella says, I support them for opening at their own discretion. There is no magic date or formula available to the government for when everybody will be safe. Customers get to choose whether they eat in or pick up, just like before. I won't base my decision to support a business based on whether they offer dine-in or not, but rather by the quality of their product, service, treatment of others, just like before. Janet says, nope, I won't. And honestly, if I knew they had done it, I'd hesitate to eat there even after they could open via state order. How can I trust them to follow health department standards if they don't respect the state's timeline? It's right down the middle, man.
It's really sticky, and I'm glad that I'm not a restaurant owner that is making a decision one way or another, to be honest.
Okay, in 4 minutes, Katie Lazor is going to join the show from Eat Denver. I promised her I wasn't going to go down this road with her at all, and I think it's fair. Because you know what? If you know Eat Denver, you know the Colorado Restaurant Association, you know a lot of folks that we've had on this stream, there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to hang on and do it right. What does right mean? It's the collective of like, okay, this all sucks, but we're trying to follow and have order. And I know people disagree. It's like, order of what? There is no definite of the right way to do this, okay?
There's no definite, but there's so some of the arguments we've been hearing, right? So the majority, I'd say, in my opinion, has been a freedom argument from a lot of restaurants, right, that we've talked to that says, I want to invoke the constitutional aspect, right? Then there's the monetary aspect where it's if I don't open the doors, I'm going to go out of business. Like, I need money to open. So neither one's wrong, but is one more right? And then there's I'm not opening until the government says I can.
Melissa says, nope, I don't trust any establishment that can't follow basic safety standards. I'd love a list of those restaurants if they do open so that I can avoid them.
I mean, in my opinion, that's a little extreme, but at the same time, and I hate to be so gray about the whole thing, but
I think that you can see reason on both sides.
Exactly.
You really can.
Yeah.
But again, what we're trying to do is let's focus our energies on, let's all, we're all in this food community together. We like this. Let's all try and figure out to where we've got the same footing going into the June 1st date, which I believe it's going to be right around June 1st. I'd love it to be this weekend. It's interesting that it's not. But Katie Lazor, she's going to be joining us here, and we are going to stick to the reopen guidelines. And again, it was just a suggested draft. And there are revisions that Eat Denver will suggest. There are four.
Mm-hmm.
Four.
She's got 4 things that she says, listen, and she submitted them. I don't know what that means. We can ask her.
So Chris Johnson on the stream, and he's coming at it with not him personally as Chris Johnson, but his business of Rome Sausage with an opinion. And Rome Sausage stance is the protocols in place to open will be the same today or in 30 days. Open it up.
I mean, that's a valid point.
Completely valid point.
Right? I mean, so let me ask you a question to make sure that I have this correct. They haven't, so they're supposed to announce coming up on the 26th when the open date will be, and everybody's speculating that it's going to be close,
of the next
right?
steps, yeah, and a date is that is what is supposed to happen on Monday with the governor on Memorial Day. Interesting to see who's going to wait to do that. I'm going to get a live in here for A-Plus Beverage Solutions before Katie Lazor joins us.
Do it.
Here is I want to give out this analogy here real quick. It's kind of like, you're making sense of things versus, does that make sense and should I do it, or am I just being told that and I'm doing it because I'm being told to do it? It's like, were you ever told as a little kid not to get in the swimming pool until about 30 minutes after you've eaten?
Yes.
And you're like,
why? What does that mean?
But you did it anyway?
Well, sure.
And I think that's a lot of what the restaurants are feeling right now. Like, you're telling me to do something, but I don't understand why. Mm-hmm. It would be all right for us to open up this weekend because next week, it's not going to change anything. We know the guidelines, and we're going to go over the guidelines. But that's kind of the analogy here.
Let me say something real quick.
Yeah.
So, in regards to that, I'll tell you this much: I don't own a restaurant, never have, probably never will. But if I was a restaurant owner and it turns out that it is June 1st when they open, I would be pretty pissed that I missed this weekend when they're going to just say, "Oh, okay, now we can do it the following weekend." Back to Rome Sausage and Chris Johnson's comment to where it's like, "Listen, 30 days from now is the same as today."
So what if the sentiment was, well, here's the deal: Memorial Weekend, that's going to be a really busy one. We think you need to put training wheels on first. Don't go rush back into the busiest weekend. Wait until a weekend that it's manageable. Wait until we can start on a Monday and work ourselves up from there. Okay, Jeff Rourke and A-Plus Beverage Solutions, family-owned and operated business. We love family-owned and operated businesses, and we want you to support them. As you get your restaurant ready, you got to clean out your tap lines. Specialty tap installations, beer, wine, water, coffee, nitro. Make your tap dreams reality. Foam is money. If you're pouring inefficient beer, what you doing, Jay?
You're pouring your money down the drain.
Don't pour your money down the drain. $10 per line. He'll clean them out. He's the most trusted man in the business. Get your tap lines cleaned out. 720-272-3809. 720-272-3809. 3809. It's Jeff Rourke and A-Plus Beverage Solutions. Okay, our poll on the stream, do you support restaurants who decide to open their dining rooms this weekend? The yeses are 67 and the noes are 92. The noes are
running away with it.
Jumping up on that. Okay, I promised her we wouldn't talk about it. And it's Katie Lazor and Eat Denver. We're going to focus on doing things right. Right, Katie?
I am fine to talk about it.
Do you have an opinion, and then we'll just put it to rest?
My opinion is that I'm not a restaurant owner, and I don't know firsthand the desperation and the urgency that some are feeling. So all I will say about it is that there are some cases where every day that goes by that a restaurant can't open, they are less likely to open at all. So that's all I will say about it. And just know that I'm focusing elsewhere on helping to give some guidance on these draft health guidelines.
Well said. And you didn't even read that or anything. That was good, Kate. Can I steal that one? I like that. And you're right. You know, we're not restaurant operators. We have no idea what they're going through and who owes them money and who they owe and their salaries.
And there's a lot
employees.
Of gray, man. There's a lot of gray.
So much. But right now, the poll stands as yes 67, no 95. And I think people are just like, the analogy that I liked was, you know, you've been in jail for 5 years and now you're going to try and do a jailbreak five days before parole. Doesn't really make
but what if you know that the penalty for breaking out 5 days early is just a slap on the wrist?
Let's get to Katie. Man, this is a heated topic going into the weekend, and I think people are ready. But here we are. We got draft guidelines, and these are just a draft, right? Some pretty good information. I don't think there's anything in here, and I think people have gone over it with a fine-tooth comb. But before we begin and dissect some of this stuff, Katie, tell people who you are and what you do if they don't know already.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me. I'm Katie Lazor. I'm the executive director of Eat Denver, which is a nonprofit independent restaurant network here in Denver. We're representing about 250 independent restaurants in the area.
Is it Bob Pease was on? He had a haircut. Katie's got her hair straightened today. You know, it's like people are getting out. I know. It's like we congratulate each other now. It's like, hey, you don't look like a complete bum right now. It's because we're trying to get our lives back a little bit. But you look great, Katie. It's good to see you smiling.
You guys saw me earlier looking like a bum, but I did actually.
I was gonna
say it out loud. I did exercise today.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm like, nah. Quit while you're behind.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you got to go do the workouts. Okay, so the draft guidelines. So there are a few things that jumped out, but you had 4. Am I correct that you have 4 revision recommendations? You take it from there.
Yeah, we have 4 main pieces of input, and I'm going to frame them as opportunity to help reopen restaurants in a way that works for most people and a way that really increases confidence in being able to do it. At least start on a good, confident note. No one's going to be up to any sort of sales that they were last summer this time. But we really wanted to focus on the main pieces of these draft guidelines that could really make a huge difference. So we asked for input on our listserv from all 250 some restaurants and got a lot of great input from our members. And in addition, have been talking to all kinds of community partners, our board members. So we really were able to distill it down to 4 main things.
4 stood out. Now, were they add-ons or were they revisions?
They're revisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to guess one. I want to try and guess what one of them would be.
Let's make this into a fun game.
I'll give you $1 if you get one.
If I can guess just one of them?
Yeah, I'll give you $1.
Okay. And I wonder if that would be because they don't want to rock the boat too much, but I'm going to go with the party of 6.
Oh, that wasn't on there.
It wasn't? I thought for sure, because I was talking to a couple of restaurant guys, they're like, man, we never have parties of 6. It's either 4, 5, 7, or 8. We never get a 6.
And that's that's untrue until anything would put a number to 6. Then you wouldn't see a 6. But before that,
so that's not one of them to increase the party size.
Not one of them. I would like to see that be 10, but there's, I think, bigger fish to fry in these guidelines.
Really? And so does this have to do with the space, the employee, or the consumer? You know how they have them in 3 categories? All of it.
Yeah, so the biggest one is space, and we're seeing different states guide restaurants through with different restrictions, and some folks are doing just guidance on trying to keep guests 6 feet away from each other. Some are doing 50% capacity to try and inherently give more space just by limiting the amount of people that can be in the building. Some are doing measurements between tables. So what they have in the guidelines are 8 feet between tables right now, with the intent of creating 6 feet between guests, between parties. So what we would love to see is a little more confidence in our restaurant operators to do this right. And by guiding that they update their floor plan to allow for 6 feet between parties, we think that that's specific enough and consistent enough with social distancing, but also gives restaurants the flexibility they really need with different types of tables, floor plans. You know how it is. Things are always moving. No restaurant looks the same. And we know that restaurant operators are more motivated than anyone in this situation to do this right, because they don't want to be the place where this goes wrong. That's, they're protecting their brand, their people, and want to look like they have this under control. So they're highly motivated. We just need a little bit more flexibility in that 6 feet.
Yeah.
So I think that has the potential to make the biggest difference overall in our industry if we were able to get that changed. Right now, with 8 feet between tables, a lot of restaurants would be at something like 10 to 20% capacity just by making that one shift in their restaurants. So just to give you an idea of how big of a reduction that is, just that one regulation. So that's paramount for us. And then second is...
Wait, hang on. Can I comment on that
one?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, because have you seen, like, in Central Park, they're, like, putting a big circle in an area of, like, that's your space. You can be in there. Don't impede upon that space. Do you see anything like that happening to where they'll take a table and then they'll put a big circle to show that actual distancing and guideline? I think there's going to be a lot of tape on floors, Katie, is what I'm saying.
Lots of tape. And I've heard from a lot of people, they're saving their tape to find out what the governor announces tomorrow. And, that's the thing. Like, you can only plan so far ahead. You can't start marking things and making too specific of plans until we know if we're measuring between tables, if we're measuring between guests, if we're able to seat ourselves. There are some really critical pieces here that need to be announced tomorrow before people start getting into the weeds on what their floor plan looks like, how they're how they're managing guests. Yeah,
how they lay it out. I think you just gave me a hint on one of them, and that's going to be self-seating.
Yes.
Okay.
Got to give him that $1, Jay. I think he deserves it.
I deserve that $1.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, but she gave me a hint. I will take 50 cents.
We're skipping to number 3.
I'll give him the loose change from the next coffee.
Was that number 3? All right. You don't need.
Nice.
Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, with the seat yourself, we feel like imagine going to a restaurant right now and sitting down and having that having the experience with your server where they're trying to stay 6 feet or more away from you. We certainly have to start somewhere, and they're going to do their best while wearing a mask. But we feel like why be prohibitive around a model like seat yourself and fast casual that actually minimizes that guest to employee interaction and is actually a safer, more controlled environment. So we want to make sure that restaurants can do that at the very minimum.
That's I hadn't thought of the server needing to stay 6 feet away since your party won't be.
Yeah.
Say you're at your party and you're not your server's not thought of as a part of your party to where they can be closer to you, or do they have to maintain a 6-foot distance from you?
Well, they won't be able to. It'll be impossible. But when I think the key terms here when it comes to some of these just inevitabilities of how restaurants work is when possible, and they're going to do their very best. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You can't deliver a glass of wine or a dish of or a meal without getting within 6 feet from someone. It's just not going to be possible in a restaurant. And there's a lot of other things that unfortunately won't be possible, but we have to start somewhere. We have to do our best, and no one is as good as restaurant people at these great, very specific and strict safety protocol. So
I'm going to go out on a huge limb with this one because it's probably not even on the radar, but every employee having to wear gloves. That seems like, is that in there?
It's number 2, yeah.
I want $2 for that one, Jay. Because you're safer and cleaner washing your damn hands than these filthy gloves that you have this false sense of security with.
Listen, well, real quick, I've already said, and this is my opinion, and I think and I didn't do the history, and I'm sorry. Gloves are designed to keep stuff from getting onto your hands, right? Gloves aren't designed for not transmitting disease. So
well, it depends on.
But you know what I mean. If you're wearing gloves, it doesn't do any good if you touch anything.
Yeah. It's
right. Then it's on your glove the same way it's on your finger. Your finger and your glove are the same. Gloves are tonight.
It's going to be a weird hour, and then we're doing Freaky Friday at come 3:00, and we're going to.
I'm already queued up.
I've got high school stories. Bizarre. He is so hyped up on caffeine right now. You have no idea, Kate.
I need what this guy is drinking.
Listen, man, I'm sober. I have nothing in life other than caffeine in this show. That's the only thing I have.
All right, talk about the gloves, Katie.
Yeah, so I think it is pretty common knowledge that science proves gloves in this type of instance. We're not going to talk about healthcare, but like in this instance specifically, we think actually leads to a higher risk of inappropriate use, prolonged use, a decrease in overall hand washing, and that's the thing. And then it turns into a huge waste of resources because it's not doing what we're intending it to do. But the governor did a call with the restaurant industry yesterday, and I asked that question of, can you talk us through this decision to include gloves as a mandatory requirement for all employees? And he said, I flagged that too, and we're ultimately going to leave it up to the health professionals, but he acknowledged that it was a concern of his and that they were going to revisit it. So I hope that means it ultimately gets removed from the guidelines.
Okay, we have more left, but I have to pause. Can you stick around for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I have to pause here. Freaky Friday brought to you by Brews Beers, because Brews Beers is delivering for free beer on Fridays. You got to get your order in the morning, though, so look to next Friday. But right now, if you buy $50 worth of Brews Beers in a online credit, store credit, or gift certificate is what the kids call them, $10 gift card they'll give back to you. So you buy $50 and you're going to Brews Beers, they'll give you $10 back in an Amazon gift card. You can find out more information at brewsbeers.com, BRUZ beers.com. It is 3 o'clock in the Mile High City. It is Freaky Friday. Yes, 78 folks. No, 113. Do you support your restaurants who decide to open their dining room this weekend before it's lifted? Let's switch, Jay.
Oh, we're doing it instantly?
Right now.
Okay, hold on. I've got to get Katie's name back up. I lost her name. There it is.
Okay, good luck. I don't know if this is going to happen. I need to sanitize this area. What do you see on the screen, Katie? Do you see me or Jay?
I see you, and now I see Jay.
Okay, cool. All right.
What's that all about? Freaky Friday?
Yeah, we're just mixing it up. We're everybody. Yeah. All right.
Oh, what do? You pull this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull torture. Have fun.
Hey, there you are. Hey, Katie. Okay, thank you for tuning into the Modern Eater Show. Just to reset, we're sitting here talking with Katie Lazor from Eat Denver. And side note, probably one of the coolest last names ever. So high school must have been fun. But continue with the discussion. Did you have one more? I have to look at you. Did you have one more? Or did we already get through all four?
Yeah, I have one more, and then I have a couple just side notes.
Yeah, listen, take your time.
Yeah,
so,
he's got an hour.
Yeah, I've got an hour to show people I went to community college.
So, our last one was right now there's no specific protocol on if an employee at a restaurant is tested positive for COVID, what that restaurant owner operator is supposed to do. So there's no protocol right now. So it's been very inconsistent, and we would like to see and know that everyone is following an acceptable protocol if and when that happens. That's really important to many restaurateurs. They just need some guidance on that.
So there's not a definitive guideline or line in the guidelines that came out that talk about that?
No, not at all. It says as of now, and they might have plans to add more, but as of their draft guidelines, it said contact your local health department. Mm-hmm. And then when you click through, it's just a phone number. So you're just kind of being sent to the health department without an expectation of what they'll ask you to do after that.
Gotcha.
And, without some transparency into the protocol.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all need to know that we're on the same page and following the same consistent protocol. And that,
Well, if somebody tests positive, just throw another pair of gloves on them and call it a day. Yeah, I know. Well, this is what happens when I host, so.
And then a couple quick other things that are on a lot of people's minds. Right now, there's some really vague language about using bar top for seating, and we just want to make sure that as long as they're following the same protocol as the rest of the restaurant, we feel that that's really valuable seating space, especially when there's so many other restrictions on dining that we need to be able to use bar seating.
Sorry. Bar seating. I'm with you. I'm just trying. You know what? And I'm sorry. What's difficult about this is not looking at that iPad. I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to tell you, Jay. I'm over here doing my job just fine.
How does it look? Does it look all right?
You look great, man. Katie's
you're faking it really well.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie.
Good work.
All right, continue. I apologize. So the bar top. So let me ask you this, because I'm not too versed on the guidelines that came out. What does it say right now regarding bar top service in restaurants and bars? And is there any delineation between a bar and a restaurant and that bar top?
Yeah, there's a line in there about, I don't have it right in front of me, but there's a line about not being able to seat guests at the bar top if it's being used for food and beverage service. And then there's something immediately following that contradicts it. So I think it's more about clearing it up. I think the intent in there, I'm hoping the intent is that you can use bar seating as long as, XYZ distancing and measures are taken. It just contradicts itself right now. It's written a little bit funky.
Gotcha.
So we just need some clarity on that. And then the last thing I'll mention is right now in the guidelines, it restricts employees from eating their family meal inside of the restaurant, which just seems very arbitrary. And I don't understand why we would be treating employees any different than guests in that respect.
When you say family meal, do you mean like a shift meal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now in the guidelines, it says that employees can't eat in the restaurant that they work on their break.
Yeah, that is bizarre.
Yeah.
I've worked in a lot of restaurants, and I don't know how that would. why is my chicken parmesan not good enough, not safe enough to eat as table 6, right?
Right. So I think as long as they're following social distancing and the same protocol as everyone else, it almost feels discriminatory against. It does feel discriminatory against them. Like, are they supposed to leave on their 15, 30-minute break, go into another restaurant,
right,
and eat, and that's supposed to be safer?
And it's not realistic because nobody. I mean, people are going to eat regardless, one way or another. So you may as well just face the reality and come up with a guideline that can be applicable to that, right? And even then, a lot of restaurants aren't going to follow it because you're not supposed to eat while you're cooking somebody else's food. And if, the real world, if you go into any kitchen in the world, there's things that happen that aren't supposed to, but they do anyway. Let me ask you this question, Katie Lazor from Eat Denver. And if you're watching the stream, thank you for tuning in. You can ask your questions to the text line. Or you can put them on the stream, and we'll do our best to get to them. So you have these 4 recommendations of adjustments to the guidelines. Do you know when you're going to hear anything back from the city that says, "Oh, hey, that's a great
that was
idea"?
A good question. I like that one.
Thank you, Jay.
Greg definitely approves of you.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, that's right.
Shut
up, monkey. Push the buttons. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Seriously though, yeah. When would you expect to hear something? And I mean, would it be timely enough to before we're open?
Sure. So here's the timeline on it. The governor released the draft guidelines on Tuesday. They're taking input through today through a form online that we've shared with our members. The Restaurant Association has as well. They're public. So they're taking input through the rest of today, and then the governor said he would announce the final guidelines tomorrow. And so that's Saturday. And then Monday, he's making a decision on when restaurants can reopen. And he said, he dropped a couple hints on the call yesterday where he said Wednesday, he's thinking Wednesday or Thursday next week.
We find out what's what.
So tomorrow we find out the guidelines. Monday he's making an announcement, and then we think that restaurants will be able to reopen beginning Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, I mean, time will tell. And,
yeah.
Come on, man. How am I supposed to actually do this?
I'm sorry, time will tell. I love those sayings.
What am I supposed to say?
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you for talking about food and restaurants on our food and restaurant show. Katie, let's say that everything goes back to normal on Wednesday or Monday, who cares? Where's the first place that you want to go to eat, and what do you want to eat?
It's like she hasn't eaten in months.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I will preface this by saying I've been getting my fair share of takeout. So I haven't been going without amazing restaurant meals because I'm not a good cook. So I can't be relying on myself there.
Let me ask you this question. Where have you been getting takeout from? What's your favorite place to get takeout from? Or a couple of them so you don't seem biased.
This week, have you guys ever had the fried chicken torta from Working Class?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. Dana makes this, it's served on this, like what she calls water. It's like Mexican water bread. It's like crunchy and kind of this, it's a bun. And then they put their fried rotisserie chicken on it with lettuce and hot sauce. And she gave me a side of buffalo sauce that they make there. It's just insane. It's so good. It's only on the menu on Mondays.
Why is it only on Mondays?
I don't know. Just one of those specials.
Greg, can you get Chef Dana on the phone, please?
Yeah,
and ask her why it's only available on Mondays.
I can do that. Oops, I just put a banner over your head, Katie.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Working Class, okay. Dana's out there at the open window screaming at everybody as they walk by. We love Chef.
Accurate.
Yeah. We had her on the show not too long ago, and she's a trip to put.
And then so I live right across the street from Steuben's, so I get
lobster
to
roll. Lobster roll. Say lobster roll.
And yeah, lobster rolls on my mind. I might even treat myself to. Have you ever had one of their Monte Cristos? It's like literally a fried sandwich. Like it's a sandwich, and then the sandwich is fried, and then it's cut up into 4 pieces.
I mean, isn't it basically it's on French toast? It's a bunch of salted cured meats.
It's something crazy.
On French toast, deep fried, and then powdered sugar on the top.
It's something deserving of first day back.
Oh, geez.
But I also love, they have great waffles. So the reason I chose Steuben's is because I love them, but they are the closest restaurant. So I'm just going to run outside of my house.
Do they have a patio?
They do.
They do? Well, far out because the weather's nice.
I think it is important to say, though, like you asked this question, but the public should not be expecting every restaurant to open as soon as they can. There's a huge, like if the draft guidelines pass the way that they were presented this week without any changes, only like 28% of our members said that they would be able to and choose to reopen in the next 4 weeks. The majority of the rest of them said that they'd be losing more money by opening under these circumstances than by staying closed. So it's really important to know that and to not expect every restaurant to be chomping at the bit and ready to reopen within a couple days of this announcement.
That's a good point. You know, yesterday we had on the stream Kendra Anderson from Bar Helix, and when Kendra and I talked beforehand, she wanted to mention, and I don't think she did on the show, so I'm just going to say it now, and I'd like, and this is the last thing, and then we'll let you go, and we're going to go to Kevin McCrossin over at Counterculture Brewery and Grille. Grille spelled Grille, so you know that it's good. But Kendra Anderson, when she and I were talking before the show, she said, listen, there's a lot of people on social media right now that are getting a misconception that restaurants right now that are focused on doing to-go orders are doing better than they really are because the social media looks like it's fun and we're having a good time. You know, she's like, listen, just because there's a post out there where somebody looks like they're having fun and they're having a good time doesn't mean that they're paying all their bills. You know, it doesn't mean that you should see that and go, oh, okay, I don't have to support this place because it looks like they're doing well. Social media is just that, you know. It's you see what they want you to see. So I just want to say that if you're seeing those things, don't think that everybody's, you know, back to A-OK and the world is good. Still support local and you know, spend your money where it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's you're spot on with that. Like the public perception, I've heard so many people say, "Oh, so and so has had such success with takeout." They're doing really, really well. But the thing is, everyone, you know, if you pass a restaurant and there's a whole line of people outside, just know that there's no one inside because you're not allowed to be inside, and nobody's making money right now. So Domino's might be making money. I don't know. There's maybe like a couple businesses out there that are maybe doing better than before, maybe same. But 99.9% of restaurants are losing money right now or barely breaking even. And most are just every day hanging on by a thinner and thinner thread. So yeah, it's just try to, you already get it, but but it's not, there are some exciting things going on for sure. Lots of creativity, lots to, lots to celebrate. I get like there are these mini wins especially for consumers. The to-go alcohol is really fun, but it's not saving anyone's business.
Gotcha. Can we follow up with you, next week sometime or maybe, and find out what's going on?
I'll be here in my living room /office/gym.
Thanks for putting in a few extra minutes on the cycle machine for me.
Of course. I did, too. I made it count.
I appreciate that. I mentally work out a lot. Katie Lazor from Eat Denver, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you next week. Have a good weekend.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, too.
Bye, Katie.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Katie Lazor, Eat Denver. Very, very insightful to what's going on, and thank her for being on the show today. We're waiting for Kevin. Hey, I hear a ding dong. We're waiting for Kevin McCrossin from Counterculture Brewery and Grille, and I see a little bit of Kevin. I think his audio's connecting. How you doing, Kevin?
There we go.
Hey, listen, you were probably expecting to be talking to Greg right now, and he's here, but it's Freaky Friday, and so we're switching it up. He's on the ones and twos, and I'm the one out front, which, I got to say, Kevin, this isn't as easy as it looks, for folks, for what Greg does, and part of me wants to think that he's doing this on purpose to torture me a little bit, but, who knows? Let's talk about you.
Is anybody watching?
Greg's on video. I don't see you, Jay.
You don't see Jay, huh? Swipe right on your phone.
I should have told you that before you got on the show. I'm sorry, Kevin. As a producer, that was my job. I should have told you ahead of time. And if you don't mind, just turn your phone sideways, please. Thank you.
Yeah, bingo. Do you see me now? Do you feel more comfortable?
Yeah, great.
God, I look bizarre on that stream. Kevin McCrossin with Counterculture Brewery and Grille. Kevin, start out with just get 30 seconds of who you are and what you guys do.
Well, we're a brewery and kitchen in Capitol Hill. We have wood-grilled burgers and chicken sandwiches and a real good fried chicken sandwich and wings, some appetizers. We opened last October. And we were just getting ready to hit our stride right before the pandemic started.
Yeah, of course, and there's a lot of folks singing that same song, and it's terrible, but, it's lemonade, right? And so everybody's doing the best to make lemonade out of the current situation. I know with you guys, being a brewery and a restaurant, and the guidelines came out to what restaurants seemingly are going to be allowed to do. And I know it's not real clear for breweries, right? And so somebody like you that's a brewery and a restaurant, what's your takeaway on that? What are you looking at? And what are some questions that you need to have answered?
I hadn't even considered it until we received an email from the Colorado Brewers Guild sort of making us aware of the fact that there was no language in there that specifically mentioned breweries. But I think it was proven by the last situation with the restaurant closings that breweries were included as essential and allowed to stay open. I think they'll follow that same model. I think it's smart for our representatives to be aware that there was no language for breweries in that particular executive order, but I think that it's going to work itself out. I'm pretty confident that we'll be just fine.
Yeah. So where do you stand though right now? If the guidelines that came out stay in place, right? What does that do to you? Does that allow you to operate in a capacity that you think will be profitable or worth it, or would you stay closed and go, man, we have to figure out a few more things?
My intention all along has been to just keep the doors open. I feel like I am better off creeping by, and than I am closing down. I don't have any, as a new business, I don't have any money in the bank to bankroll myself and allow myself to just sit around. As far as profitability goes, I think that is everybody's question right now. And I think it's going to be, some give and take. I think our costs are going to need to go down in order for us to remain even neutral. But that's going to be working with landlords. That's going to be, figuring out utilities. That's going to be figuring out the supply chain, maybe changing the way that we do things from how we're making beer, how we're packaging beer. I think everything's in the air. We're a brew pub at our base. We want to be serving people with, packed tables and 4 hours of nonstop. I mean, that's what our business is built to do. It's not built to sell food through our garage window, but that's what we're making do with.
That was going to be my question is, have you guys been doing the to-go stuff as much as you can, and are you still making beer in the anticipation of, of opening the brewery back up?
We waited a little bit longer than we would have liked to, but that was honestly a function of the bank account. We really didn't have money to buy ingredients, and we had 6 beers on draft. So, that's one of the nice things about running a brewery and restaurant is we make a bunch of beer and then I've got it all on the shelf just sitting there waiting to be sold. So we kind of stumbled a little bit, and now we're down to 3 beers, but we've got 2 beers in tank. One of them will be coming out next week. The other one will be coming out the following week. And then we're going to brew an IPA. So we're about to brew 3 beers, which will bring us back up to where we need to be, and then hopefully kind of help us cruise through the summer.
Has your beer consumption gone up or down since the restaurant shutdowns?
It stayed neutral. I drink a lot of beer regardless of a pandemic.
Hey, walk us around a little bit. Can you show us the place? I know you have a small inside, but take us for a little tour and just let us see what it looks like. You're trying to turn your yeah, there we go.
Okay, so yeah, we have set up the tap room a little bit differently for this style of service. Our POSs are out front here. You know, this is basically all our area now. We're able to kind of use it for storage. Our beverage display. And then you're looking out our garage windows. This is how we're serving people. We've got our menus, which they're going to be upside down. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Social distancing information and some potted plants.
So now if someone touches those, you have to sanitize them, right?
Yeah. We've got our bottle of sanitizer is right there. So we have a touchpad POS. So when I ring people up, they're going to end up signing on here. So we spray it down after every customer.
Gotcha.
But outside of that, I mean, the tap room is basically set up still the same. And then, I mean, you guys have seen our kitchen, but I don't know that you've ever seen it open and operating.
Where's Bland at?
He's right here.
Chip Bland. Hey, there he is. I didn't recognize you from robbing that train, but it's good to see you.
So, yeah, the grill is lit. We've actually got a fire in here today. We just kind of keep it low and rolling until we're actually busy.
Is he going to be cooking anything? What's it do? You know, if I give you $10 the next time I see you, will you make him throw a chicken sandwich on there?
Yeah, I can make that happen for you.
You know, I mean,
we're taking orders to the phone, so you can give us a call. We've got an online ordering platform now. Our POS company kind of streamlined something and got it together, so people are able to go to our website, go to our Google site, and order online.
You spoke when I was speaking with you earlier. You talked a little bit about the patio outside, and when in regards to the guidelines of what you can do on your patio. I know that the places, even neighbors of your neighboring restaurant, you can't share the room. And I think that you're down the street from one of Bonanno's concepts, and then Tacos, Tequila, and Whiskey. You know, what's the hopes as far as what you can do outside?
Well, we've got so we've got 4 Bonanno concepts on our block, and then Tacos, Tequila, Whiskey is right next door to us, and so we're looking to try to get 7th Avenue just closed down to be able to use that all as patio, and then we would just have to put up separate fences, and we'd have our own space. It can't be common space, but it could be neighboring space. I assume, nobody really knows what they're doing, so we're putting in a group application as well as an individual application to try to open up the parking lot in the back, and possibly the sidewalk out front.
And so when you say close off the street, explain that to me.
I mean, as I understand it, it would be kind of like set up as if it was a block party, and they would, from Sherman to Grant is what we're requesting on 7th Avenue, which is a slow-moving street, and it'll inconvenience some people, but you can get around us on either 6th or 8th, depending on what direction you're going.
Okay, and so then it'd be to throw tables just out in the street and kind of section off, room for each restaurant?
The city has a plan where each restaurant would get their own inspector, and the inspector would come and they would look at what we're looking to do. We have to send a site plan to show them what our table arrangements would look like. So, I mean, there's a lot of legwork to be done to get it, but I think that they want us to get these things. We just need to do our kind of due diligence.
Gotcha. Tell me about, and I forget the name of it, man. I didn't plan on being on this side necessarily, but I know that you're doing a lot of work with meals and getting meals into the hands of folks that need them. Tell me a little bit about that project.
Yeah, we're calling it Pay It Forward, and basically we're collecting donations from folks. We put it on a gift card until we get to a certain mark. Generally, it's been $300 gets 30 meals out the door. And so we've been sending sandwiches to Denver Health. Just a couple days ago, we sent 30 sandwiches to our local police precinct. And I've got some other folks who are interested in going in together and doing another run to Denver Health. So, yeah, it's been a pretty cool project. It kind of helps everybody. I mean, we need the sales. We want to do some good. We're not in a position to do much good on our own. We need kind of folks to help us. So you can give us a call. You can stop by the garage door. You can go online and put a donation for kind of whatever you're able to do.
Counterculturebrewery.com.
Counterculturebrewery.com, correct.
Counterculturebrewery.com. Kevin McCrossin from Counterculture Brewery and Grille. Thanks for being on the stream today, man. It's good to see you. I know, things are, they're not where we want them, but again, I just say the word lemonade because that's what we're all doing, the modern eater included.
Everybody's doing their best. I appreciate you having us on. And Greg, it's good to see you. You guys have a good one, all right?
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin McCrossin. Okay, well, let's play a commercial here. If you guys don't know the Spice Guy, you should. It'll be the second one. It's the black one next to the little leaf there.
First, we partner with the best farmers in the world, and then we tell them, we will take it all. Process whole spices daily, blend custom spices to order, keep it fresh, safe, and flavorful, all so that you can get back to doing what you do best. So whether you're a restaurant, a food manufacturer, or an at-home cook, be sure to visit The Spice Guy at www.thespiceguyco.com.
And back to the show. Jay Parker, it's Freaky Friday, so that's why you see me, and Greg is doing my job. I'm doing his, and trying to make the best of it. Did you say you wanted me to do it live? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Who do you want me to do it live for?
Yeah, I've got two pictures of you up right
I can't wait to see it. My live stuff is over there, but I'll do a live for aspenbaking.com if you want to put up their logo and website while I do this. I'm a bread guy, Greg, and I can do without cheese. I can do without meat. I can do without alcohol. What I can't do without is bread. And AspenBaking.com is one of the best in the business, whether it's focaccias, hoagies, ciabattas, boxed lunches. If you want a boxed lunch and cater your company, they're using delicious Rome sausage inside of those boxed lunches. Just contact Cody Ann over there or Hollis or our main man Jeffrey if you go to AspenBaking.com. They are on Amazon Fresh. If you're one of the folks that uses Amazon Fresh, you can go on there, buy direct, buy online, but buy Aspen. Hashtag how's your Aspen? It's aspenbaking.com. Hey, Larry Herz is coming up from OCN Eats. He's got his green screen behind him. At least I see a green screen. I'm not sure if he was going to put something. Tag Burger Bar. Larry, can you hear me? How are you? Can't hear me yet. That's all right. Larry Herz from OC.
Yeah.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Larry, sorry for the switcheroo here. It's Freaky Friday. Greg decided to switch up.
He knew.
Why are you apologizing?
I told him.
It's the best news I've heard in a long time.
See, that's why I love Larry Herz. Larry Herz from OCN Eats, our community now. Larry, do me a favor.
Yeah.
30 seconds of who you are and why the restaurant world of Denver should get in contact with you.
I like that. That's a nice way to bring me on.
When I do it, Larry, I like to get into who you are and what you're doing right away. That way when folks tune in and they see your handsome face, they go, I want to know what this guy's all about.
So do I.
Yeah. Well, lay it on us.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
This is my elevator pitch. I was in the restaurant business for 29 years, owned 6 different restaurants. My first Carmine's on Penn is still still operating 26 years later. My last one, 730 South, I had for 18 years. And I stopped doing that 2.5 years ago to help restaurants. So I developed a lot of unique assets that have been moving the needle for restaurants. And I do marketing for 20 restaurants full-time in Colorado. But now more than ever, I'm here to help, whether it be podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube videos. We are picking back up our show, Restaurants Near Me. We are going to start filming again first week of June when restaurants open.
I love it. And you're doing a daily broadcast called What's for Lunch?
I do 3 podcasts a day. 9 o'clock every morning is the restaurant update, and that goes across my 800,000 followers on Facebook, 20 different pages, everything from Aurora now, Denver now, Castle Rock now, all across the state. OCN Eats also on Facebook. And so that's the morning update. Interesting today on the morning update, which is usually just a real quick hit, 5 minutes, openings, closings. I had a guest on that today, which I think is now going to be a thing. For any restaurant owner who wants to come on at 9 o'clock in the morning, I know 9 o'clock's tough. You don't have to bring any food, although Jason from Crush Pizza came in today and brought food at 9 in the morning. So he woke up at 6 to do this.
He's a stud.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
And he worked the line last night. He was cooking last night. So basically whatever you want to come in and promote for your restaurant, talk about. So this weekend he's doing calzones. He's never done calzones before. He's doing them Sunday. So he wanted people to know about it. So he asked if he can come and push his calzones. Sure, come on in. And then he's also doing wings where you take them home and they're already cooked, but you finish them on the grill and then toss them in a sauce. So that's a good thing for Memorial Day. And you're like grilling, but you don't really have to do any work. You just throw them on there. They're already cooked. Mm-hmm. And then as I was filming, I started getting messages from people saying, wait a second, we can come on this? I'm like, sure, why not? So any restaurant that wants to come on to my office 9 o'clock every morning and pitch whatever you want to pitch, tell the people out there whatever you want to tell them, it's free.
Love it, man. I love it. Who's on next?
So I got a DM from the Great Greek Aurora. She said, can I come on? And so I guess she can come on Tuesday. And now I'm just throwing this out there to anybody who wants to come on. It's 5 minutes. Just like, again, it's your quick elevator pitch. What you're doing, why people should come eat at your restaurant. Mm-hmm. If you want to bring food to show, that's up to you. Whatever you want to bring, whatever you want to talk about.
But the price is right.
I'm here to help.
Yeah, that's right. Are you taking Monday off, or are you going to be doing What's for Lunch on Monday? What are you guys doing over there?
We will be closed as an office, so we're taking off. I never take a day off personally. So you could look for – I do 3 posts a day on OCN Eats Instagram, which also goes to OCN Eats Facebook. And I post every single day on OCN Drinks on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes time to come up with the content, to write the verbiage, the hashtags. Then I have to go to all my other accounts, comment, like, and save it. I might have mentioned to you guys that you guys should do that.
Yeah, I know. And listen, man, if I could...
This isn't very hard over here. I could be doing liking and commenting and what I could get another job on this side.
Really? It's that easy? You just sit there, huh?
Well, and put your name underneath you and I guess play this What's for Lunch right now, right?
Can you really handle that without us going offline?
Man, it's.
Well, listen, man. I'm
enjoying this over here.
This might be the beginning of the end for me. We're gonna hire
anyone. No skills at all.
The funny thing is, if anybody's listening to the show but not watching it, they would think that Greg's still hosting anyway.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Larry, we were doing so well. We were doing so well.
The same.
Tag Burger Bar was on What's for Lunch today, correct?
big score.
Yeah, what did they bring you down? And then we're going to take a little bit of a look. Now, just my 2 cents, Larry, and I feel guilty even saying it, but I have to talk because I'm on this side, so that's what I'm doing. When it comes to the food, you got to have somebody there with a camera that's a little bit closer on the food so you can see, it a little bit better. That's my Greg thing, right? If I was sitting on the other side, I'd be like, dude, shut up. Don't tell this guy how to do his job. But I'm over here, so I feel like I want to see it a little bit more when I watch What's for Lunch.
I couldn't agree with you more. What's funny is we have somebody standing there holding my phone, and they broadcast it live on Instagram because we haven't figured out how to do that through our system with all the Facebook pages. Mm-hmm. And so that person can zoom in and out.
They could, walk up and get in there or something. Are you doing an Instagram live? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, we do that live. And then I usually put it on the feed. It's about 50-50. I don't know. The videos don't do as well on Instagram as static images. People that's not what they go there for. If they want videos, they go to YouTube. But we keep stepping it up. If you look at today's and yesterday's What's for Lunch, we have added graphics.
I see the Tag Burger Bar. That's how I knew. And then their website and phone number, 303-736-2260. Let's watch a little bit of this.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit play. Greg, are you ready for? Are you kidding me?
Good afternoon, Colorado. Welcome to a Friday edition of What's for Lunch. Fired up today because I haven't had a burger in a while, and Tag Burger Bar is in the house. I got Zan and my friend Michael here.
What's up, Larry?
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for bringing me just a little bit of lunch.
Just a little bit, man. Snacks for you.
Tell us the story of Tag Burger Bar. When did it start?
So Tag Burger Bar started long before either of us had ever stepped into it.
Just going to watch this whole thing.
It's been a long legacy of this restaurant.
You can watch the whole thing.
It was one of the first ones to start in our company.
And tell them about your company.
So we're here representing Tag Restaurant Group, which is a conglomerate of Troy Guard restaurants. We span all of Denver. We've got crazy locations like Boo Boo. We've got the Los Chingones, Garden Grace. All of those
keep coming.
Hashtag. Hashtag is our brunch spot. Yeah, of course.
Tag Social.
Tag Burger Bar. We have a new projects coming up as well. There's Opihi coming in Hawaii, which is kind of a thing. We have a food hall of sorts.
That's coming right over here.
Yep. We also have Big Wave Taco supposedly happening.
Heard about this.
There's a new Boo Boo location happening. New Los Chingones location happening. A lot of really cool stuff happening in the group. But for us specifically,
Tag Burger Bar
in this era of COVID, we are trying our best to
I'm going to
do
shoot
takeout.
to the end here and see what's
comment.
up.
Give them a little, any kind of
see
emoji.
me.
Helps
Just a little love. Just a little love. You know?
Zan, Michael, thank you so much for coming in. Let's eat.
Of course.
Maybe a little too far, but I can tell you what they brought.
Yeah. Tell us what they brought, and then and tell me how good it was.
So, all of Troy's restaurants are open Wednesday through Sunday, 4 to 8. And then I had never been to Tag Burger Bar. Just, I can't get to everywhere, and I haven't been there. It's on my list. The kid Michael there, we're friendly, and he's always invited me down there, but I just haven't made it. And so they brought me like half the menu: duck fat fries, a salmon sandwich, a fried chicken sandwich that they get from FNG. The burger is kind of like a knockoff of In-N-Out. Chicken wings, a French dip, a hot pastrami sandwich.
Oh man, French dip and hot pastrami. There you go.
So I had that one wing. That's how I always finish each episode, is having a bite of something.
Yeah.
And then I took them on a tour of the office, and when I got back, nothing. Wiped clean. All the food was gone.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you, what does happen to all that food?
Normally, I get my plate and then push it to the side before the animals attack.
Yeah.
So that way, because I want to get the restaurant owners, I want to get them out as fast as possible. But I figure they're here at the office, give them a little tour, because as you guys know, it legitimizes like who we are and what we do. It's like, holy cow, these guys are not in their parents' basement. This is a serious company.
Yeah.
So they came here. I like to give them the tour. And I made the mistake of not fixing my plate before the tour. I did get a hat out of the deal.
I see that.
Well, I could definitely be bribed. You want me to wear your hat on episodes or whatever? Bring me a hat. I'll wear it.
Done.
If we have a Modern Eater hat, would you wear that?
Oh, hell no.
No? I think we had 2 made back in the day, and I don't know. I actually don't know where they are. Larry Herz, if you're turning in, Larry Herz from OCN Eats.
It's Herz.
Herz. No, it's not. No.
Hey, did you guys get anybody on? I only listened the last hour.
No. In regard to the restaurant reopening guideline and what?
What's the poll results?
No, I don't know how to check the poll results.
Just go over to another tab that's Facebook. You'll find it.
Well,
What happened to my buddy Stevie? He wouldn't come
poll
on?
results in video. So the poll results are yes, 0.4387351 something percent. Oh, okay, wait. Yes is I was being sarcastic, but those are real numbers. Larry, guess which one's which? 111 versus 143. Do you support restaurants who decide to open their dining rooms this weekend?
So I would say no would be the majority. But it's a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it is no, 143. Yes, 111. Do you have an opinion on that you would share? Would you tell us what you'd vote on one way or another, or you don't want to say that? Let me ask you this, Larry. Go back to Carmine on Penn. When you were Larry Herz, I own Carmine's on Penn. Do you think that you'd be in favor of opening ahead of time on this weekend to possibly? And I don't know what the rationalization would be, honestly, is on if it's a money thing to where it's like, some restaurant owners just don't want to pass up what the bills they could pay on this one weekend versus waiting possibly 1 or 2 more weeks. But if it was the Larry Herz from Carmine's on Penn, what do you think you'd do? Is that a fair question, or you don't want to touch that either?
No, I'll give you a little bit, I guess. Look, there's both sides, right? What's waiting another week? Why wait another week? Like, what's the difference? What's going to change in a week?
Right.
If you follow the rules now, and you're going to follow the rules next week, then what's the difference? So, and they've lost so much money that they need to start making money. I mean, they're desperate. They're desperate because they are. Was it Katie? She said like 99% of restaurants aren't making money. I think she said. That's a bit much, but they're desperate, and desperate times call for desperate measures. When you're trying to feed your family and you're trying to feed your employees' families, every day matters. So I can absolutely support that side of the argument. And then I don't know if you said the analogy that I heard yesterday, but I'll say it anyway, even if you said it already. We've been in prison for 5 years. We got 5 days left till we're out. Why would we try and escape now? So
right. Rome.
That's right in the middle, right? I didn't take a side, did I?
Nah, listen, man, and there's a lot of truth to the amount of gray area. And Greg and myself have both said, there's information on each side that is completely valid. To where Rome Sausage on the stream today said, listen. It's the same as opening this weekend versus 30 days from this weekend at this point. If the government's already talking about possibly it being June 1st, and we can get a nice weekend in for these restaurant owners right now, then what is the difference, right? And then on the flip side, somebody always says, well, they use the prison analogy and go, why are you trying to break out of prison a week before you're paroled? And I said earlier on the stream when I was playing producer that I'm in a lucky position where I don't have to make that decision, right? We're fortunate enough to just have to talk about it and what those guys are doing. So, by no stretch of the imagination am I taking that for granted of what these restaurant owners and the decisions that they're having to make right now. I mean, that's a tough game to play.
I was very surprised by Katie's survey. She said only 28% of restaurants plan on opening.
That was interesting, you know. And if I had been more comfortable with talking to her, Greg was freaking me out a little bit, so I just had to get through that interview as fast as possible. But if I was more comfortable, I wanted to dive into that a little bit on, you know, not specific names because I don't think she'd want to throw that out there, but more information about why a restaurant, because, again, not a restaurant owner. Maybe you can clarify a little bit, and we'll get to Dr. Sara Metz from Code 4 Counseling in just a second. What would you see the benefit of not reopening right away if they say, okay, it's Monday, not, you know, the 1st, June 1st? What would be something as a restaurant owner with your brain that you'd go, okay, I don't want to open right away?
Well, I could talk to, like, for people that are doing great, you know, and you don't have waiters and you don't have that expense, you know, and then of course the logistics of it is going to be a nightmare, and putting tables, pulling them in, pulling them out, rains, and then people are SOL. They just have to go home. They have to take their food and eat in the car. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a logistical nightmare, taking temperatures. Why would you want to do all that if you're making money already? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't open, and I know plenty of people who are not going to open. I didn't think it would be 28%. As she said, 28% will be opening. I don't think people, and I've been saying that for a month, is the public doesn't realize that people are not really going to open at 50%. It doesn't work. I mean, the whole thing is not going to work. And closing at 10 o'clock is that I will voice an opinion on. That is so arbitrary and makes zero sense. You're basically destroying every bar. There's no point on them certainly opening. So I hope they nix that. Like, as if the virus, you know, sleeps till 10 o'clock, then comes out at 10 o'clock at night.
It's the freaks. COVID comes out at night. COVID comes out at night. COVID comes out at night.
Larry Herz from OCN Eats, our community now on YouTube, and OCNEats.com. I think that's
there is a website.
Right? There's a website for that. Do you want to say anything in closing before we talk? Are you gonna stick with us through the doctor, or are you gonna get out of here?
No, I'm getting out of here. Doctor, you guys I don't want to step on Doc's time. I want to be able to focus on what she has to say. No, I just it'll be curious. I sent Greg the Twitter feed from Channel 9, basically saying that 400 restaurants are opening this weekend. So people are talking about it. I'll tell you that much. I certainly don't. I'll be curious how many open, but I do think you'll see some openings for sure, and I think it'll be, you know, more like a dozen.
Gotcha. Larry Herz.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Great job, by the way. You're a great host.
Oh, thank you.
Made me feel very comfortable.
Thank you, Larry.
Aww.
Thank you. On to Dr. Sara Metz, Code 4
What's up
Counseling.
with the switch? You're throwing me, you two.
Freaky Friday. Greg went a little crazy. Live. Well, when you tell me, Doctor, give me just a second. I want to talk about Rome Sausage here real quick. Rome Sausage and Mr. Chris Johnson are offering home delivery. Local artisan sausage and meatball bundle delivered to your door. Order online. If you go to romesausage.com, you can figure it all out. But it's a $60 bundle. It includes, Doctor, are you ready for this? 10 pounds of assorted awesomeness. Right? If you like breakfast sausage or breakfast links, Italian meatballs, and listen, meatballs is a new thing they're doing, right? And they are absolutely delicious. We've had a few chefs in the kitchen messing around with those, and everybody loves them. My favorite is the jalapeno cheddar bratwurst. They have traditional bratwurst, chicken apple sausage, Italian sausage, green chili sausage, some of the best chorizo on planet Earth, and hot Polish kielbasa. RomeSausage.com is where you go to get your family bundle. And let's face it, during these hard times, who doesn't enjoy a good sausage, right? RomeSausage.com. Or you can call them if you're somebody who still does that, 303-296-7663. 303-296-7663. It's Rome's Sausage. Dr. Sara Metz from Code 4 Counseling, code4counseling.com, is on the show almost every day. As you get a little bit busier, we lose a little bit of the Sara time, but when we can have it, we snap it up. So thank you for being here today.
Well, it's good to see you two, and you just made me hungry with that whole Rome sausage thing. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, you should. And you're a huge advocate of supporting local and especially hyper-local and your new neighborhood out there. You've popped into a lot of places and already shown your love to Colorado Mills Sunflower Products and the Spice Guy and the list goes on and on. But for our viewers and our listeners that are just tuning in.
You got some garden sun, didn't you?
Let's do...
I've been outside a lot. I'm a little burned.
I saw that. I saw your little tootsies out in the garden, too. You out gardening.
My ladybugs. Yeah, Nick likes to make fun of me. So if any of you want to see us banter on Facebook, feel free to check that out.
I don't even know what your husband looks like. Because every time he's anywhere near that, he used to run, and I caught his coattails one time.
We talked about that one time. He decided he wants to be, now I can't think of her name, but remember Frasier, the wife in Frasier that no one ever saw? He decided he wants to be like her. And like just this name
Frasier had
never
a wife?
attached. Maris?
Meredith.
I think it was her name with Maris.
Yeah, that sounds right. I didn't really like that show. Tell people about Code 4 Counseling and what you do.
Well, Code 4 Counseling started in 2017 with the goal of taking care of our emergency responders. So day in, day out, we take care of our emergency responders, and that to provide counseling and stress training and just consulting work. And that's kind of transitions through the pandemic to now include hospital workers and the restaurant industry. So I've made friends with you guys. I've been working with the restaurant industry and the Colorado Restaurant Foundation probably for the past 6 months or so, doing some stress management training, resiliency training, leadership training for different groups. And we've kind of continued that partnership. And the next step of that partnership is going to be for Code 4 Counseling to offer counseling services for free to folks in the restaurant industry who are really struggling. So we're working out the details of that, and that service should be up and running really as soon as maybe even next week. So folks that are struggling, who are looking for counseling, they can reach out to Code 4 Counseling via Facebook or the website, and we can connect you with one of the folks that have generously agreed to volunteer their time to do some telehealth sessions for folks, because we know that man, people are drinking out of a fire hose right now, and the restaurant industry has been hit really, really hard. And we want to do our part to help take care of all of you as you guys start to reopen and figure out what that looks like. It's going to be good, but it's also going to be a big old pile of stress. So we hope people are preparing for that, and managers and owners and chefs are really thinking about all the logistics side, but also really what are they going to do to make sure that that collective team is as recharged as they can be to make sure that they're taking care of themselves as well.
Since this pandemic has started, what have you seen from on Code 4 Counseling side as far as what are people having a harder time with? You know, is it the not working thing? Is it the money thing? Is it both? And you know, what's some advice you can give to somebody on kind of one of the more common worries?
It's a great question, and we're kind of seeing across the board. We're seeing one of the biggest issues I'm actually seeing is people judging themselves for struggling. People are really used to being pretty high performers and feeling like they've got things under control. And right now, no one feels like they have anything under control because everything feels like it's spiraling. And a lot of people I'm talking to ask me, am I the only one? Am I the only one who feels this way? Why am I not sleeping? Why do I feel overwhelmed all the time? Why am I snapping at my family? I don't understand why I'm struggling so much. And I think part of my job has been to really encourage people to understand this is collectively taking a toll, and we need people to admit that and be willing to be uncomfortable and not judge themselves for that is one of the biggest things. Yes, we're talking to a lot of people about sleep hygiene and self-care, but a lot of that just comes down to really making sure that what are you doing to recharge yourself? And are you giving yourself permission to not be at 100% right now? Usually people, when they're asked the question, hey, how are you doing? They respond with, I'm fine. And everyone gets so used to hearing the I'm fine response that they forget to actually answer the question. Self-assess, for one, is how are you actually doing? And can you give yourself and other people permission to do the best they can, even if the best they can that day is 60% or 40%? So a lot of what we're talking about is just the vulnerability of being okay with not being okay, and not adding shame to that experience right now.
It's a lot of what you just described is, how I feel all of the time, right?
I just did a good transition over here on some video.
Did you?
Yeah, it was cool because I had her logo up in a box, and then the box went away with the logo, and then you started to talk, and you popped up in that box. It was pretty cool.
He's so proud of himself.
I know. Well, what's funny is I'm staring at an upper third that's covering half of your head.
Well, she just stood up, but there was space there. There was. Yeah, duck a little doctor.
Freaky Friday. How's the new? I was saying something. I was trying to say something serious.
You're talking about that was your experience. You were normalizing.
Yeah. I'm just a puddle of mud. There's no help for that. How's the new house? How are you adapting to your new city and your new neighbors? Do you Do you talk to your neighbors? And let me ask you, as I am about to pick myself apart, let me ask you a serious question. I've lived in my home for 12 years, right? Yeah. And it's a normal neighborhood, families, whatever. Out in Aurora. I have spoken to my neighbors, direct neighbors on each side, in 12 years, probably the one side 3 times and the one side 4 or 5 times that have never been my plan, and I didn't want it, and they caught me outside like, hey, are you a normal human? Can I talk to you?
Sure.
Is it weird that I don't want that interaction with them, like to where, and you're shaking, that's the answer I want. But it's like, I sometimes feel like when I tell that story to somebody and somebody goes, and Greg tells me, he's like, you're the weird old guy in your neighborhood, that nobody.
You are.
Right, I am. But I genuinely, and no knock on my neighbors because they seem like decent people, but I have no interest in speaking with them.
Are you going to let this woman answer your question?
Oh, no, we're communicating. Nonverbal cues. I'm telling him he's totally right. Yeah.
See,
I gotta say, Jay, people always confuse the fact that I'm very outgoing when I'm working with assuming that I'm very outgoing all of the time, and I'm totally not. I'm absolutely happy to hide in my house, and if I see my neighbors outside, I'll probably run back inside before I have to talk to them. Nick is the one I send out to talk to people. He's much more personable than I am. Nice. But again, I don't choose to talk to people. I was talking to my plants the other day, and people walked by. And they were like, why is she talking to the plant? And I'm like, ooh, does this mean I now have to talk to you? Because I'm much more comfortable talking to my plant than I am to humans.
I have one plant, and it's a coffee plant that I got from...
nice.
Who are those guys, Greg? From over at the
Atalco. Yeah. I don't really care to be on the stream right now, but I want to be seen as the producer right now, so I'm going to put me up there.
Well, listen.
Hey, I'm Jay. How you doing? I'm Jay. I don't like anybody anything. Okay, back to the show.
I don't like anybody anything. First of all, as we do this Freaky Friday thing,
we might do this.
I want to throw out there that you can participate like I would, which is helpful to you. Rather than just throw curveballs at me and throw me under
there's
the
written
bridge
rules
and
here?
Stuff like that.
I didn't know there was rules.
Just so you know. So we did this Freaky Friday thing. He's sitting over there and he's staring at me and he's but he's not communicating and he's not doing the stuff that I would on that
He'll
side.
Do stuff like
which helps.
Oh no, damn it. And I'm like thinking, I'm trying to like have what just melted? And then he looks at me and shakes his head like,
that is
not so good over here.
That is so
Keep going, though. Keep going.
untrue.
Stretch.
Thank God. None of that is true. And thank God it's 4 o'clock.
like,
'cause
oh,
now
no.
I feel like I can just click a button.
Should have
and
Freaky
say,
Friday'd you guys back and just made Nick sit down and be me for the 15 minutes.
Oh, that would be super interesting. That would be super interesting.
I love this.
Doctor, it's
So
4 o'clock.
stress-free over
so
here.
Technically, God, it's he's destroying my self-confidence and everything, right?
He's about to
'Cause
kill
now-
himself
'cause-
after every show. I feel like
I
running
am.
a marathon right now. I
I
feel
am.
so relaxed. Wow.
We'll see you
You
next
two,
we'll
play
see-
nice. It's Friday.
we'll see
This
you-
is us
It's
playing
after
nice,
another
man.
week together.
This is us loving on each other.
Yeah.
And it's Memorial Day weekend. Are you two gonna
We're gonna. You know what I'm actually gonna go do, Doctor? I'm gonna head out to Rogue Restaurants.
Are
And
you?
I'm just gonna film it and see
Hit 'em
it
up?
and talk to people and be like, "Hey, are you enjoying yourself? Or do you care about distancing? It's gonna be an interesting weekend, and I'm gonna go
Yeah,
out
it
and
is.
see what people are gonna do. You know,
and Jay's gonna hide from people.
I can't wait to see it. I
Do
mean,
it
listen,
yourself.
I'll literally at my house, when I go out to check the mail, if for some
you check
reason
first.
I'll walk. I have a little walkway,
Yeah.
and I'll walk out, and I'll look, out
yeah.
to one side. This side, I'm not, but I'll look to this side, and this dude. I have a guy that lives next to me, and I know this isn't about me, but who cares? Freaky Friday. I have a guy that lives next to me to where he's retired, and he's a super nice guy. The last time I spoke to him, I was drunk, so that tells me that it was over 3 years ago, right? Haven't spoken a word to him since. We don't even do the cool guy head nod.
Not even a head nod.
I don't even. I really think he dislikes me, and one of the reasons is because he's out in his front yard and backyard all day, every day, and he's got toenail clippers, and he's doing the grass, and he's doing
The grass. I thought you were gonna say his toenails, and I was like,
no.
why?
He's just his house could be on Better Homes and Gardens, right? When it comes to the maintenance portion, not. I don't have a home like that. I don't live in a neighborhood like that, But he has nothing else to do, seemingly, other than take care of his yard. And that's how I justify my yard not looking as well as his, is I blame it on I'm busy and I don't have time. And, some of that's true, some of it's not. But I'll look out there, and if he's out there cutting his grass or poking around some rocks or something, I won't go check my mail. Because I'm afraid, even though I know the guy hates me and he doesn't want to talk to me anyway, I'm terrified that if I go out there, he's going to say something like, yo, your house sucks, or something like that, right? Like, what's wrong with your yard, I don't know. That's just
Get
me.
it together.
But all jokes aside, I have anxiety over it. I do harbor anxiety over being that person.
Conversation you've created in your head that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I create a lot of conversations in my head that don't happen, and they give me anxiety.
Meanwhile, there is a gal that lives next door that's been tanning, and he's trying to figure out a way to get her to tan in his yard.
This is why.
Wait. You got to give me that one, man.
I'm going to give him that one, and I'd be happy to share the story online and
it's
offline.
Selective
now that it's
communicating.
out, okay. Doctor, will you indulge me for a story? And Greg brought it up, so I'm going to tell the story.
Yeah.
So
I got all the time in the world for this one.
Like I say, I've been in my home 12 years. 2008, the end of 2008, I bought the place. And, your neighbors, and it's a communal backyards where you see everybody's backyards, for the most part, at least 4 or 5 houses. And one of my neighbors directly behind me, in the 12 years I've lived there, I've never seen anything like this. And what I saw was an attractive woman in a bikini sunbathing. Now,
Just a person.
Yeah. But I happen to find this person attractive.
Yeah, you didn't want the guy to tan in your backyard, is what you're saying.
Well, I'll get there. And coincidentally, this is why I don't tell Greg any of my stories anymore.
You tell me all.
And I accidentally let things out, and this is why I'm reminded.
Why? So you
when
could
he's
have
like,
one-sided conversations with people?
This isn't a conversation. I'm telling a story.
You were talking about your
I told you
neighbor,
that.
so I wanted to let her know about the other neighbor, too.
So she's sunbathing, and I noticed that there's what society would deem attractive, right? I'm more of a look inside kind of guy, but I recognize the superficiality of what is
The
happening.
packaging is nice, though.
You know, if you're into that sort of thing, everybody's into something different. And so I go, that's new. And you notice it because all I've seen back there before are 26-year-old guys smoking cigarettes and drinking PBRs, right? Literally, that's what I've seen. And now all of a sudden there's this sunbathing thing. And so I made a comment to Greg about, I somehow have to get, because I have a deck in my backyard, and a hot tub, no big deal. It's all falling apart. So on paper it sounds real good. I said to him, I have to figure out how to get this girl to sunbathe on my
That doesn't
on
sound
my
like
deck.
an antisocial guy to me.
Well, I mean,
You want her to sunbathe without you having to talk
Who's
to her. is what you
Caitlin,
want.
and why is she trying to get in the room here?
Well, because you made me put a link
I gotta
to
see
the thing.
who's
So
Caitlin.
admit
Can we
Caitlin.
try and see what happens here? We've got.
Oh, is the neighbor signing
It's probably
on?
it's some weird
I
bizarre
don't know.
way
I
where
gotta
it's-
see
it
who's
is my
coming in.
neighbor, and they go, "Hey, close your blinds. You're not fooling."
Well,
anybody."
hello there, Caitlin.
I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody either.
Caitlin, are you there?
Hi, Caitlin.
You're on with Dr. Sara
I don't
Metz.
see Caitlin. Oh, she
Oh, Caitlin.
She got scared
Dang
and jumped
it.
out.
That was going to be a good moment for all of us.
Yeah, especially Greg.
man.
Well,
Good
listen,
story, though.
Scared her
Doctor.
off, Greg.
Sorry. Sorry, Caitlin. Call back. Call back, Caitlin.
Oh, back, Caitlin. We miss you.
Doctor, you don't have anything to say to Jay about, well, listen, maybe you ought to look at all human beings the same and just have people over to your house because you do want company, obviously.
I want selective company. Listen, man, the real world is if you sat down, aside from this stream and just the three of us hanging out and getting drunk and the conversation would obviously be a lot different of the reality of what we want, right, in our homes and around than what you actually do. I mean, we can't, as much as we want to be ourselves as humans.
We have steaks being delivered.
You can't be yourself all the time. I mean,
No.
you can't be
Well,
your
you have
true
different
self.
versions of yourself. I think that's what people need to recognize is they have, well, hello there. They have different versions of themselves, and all of those versions are fine. You're very outgoing. You're a very great conversationalist, Jay, when you want to be. But it sounds like you also worry about how good you are at that in your own head. And so then you have a different version of yourself that kind of pulls away from human interaction.
I like to think that I'm not ignorant, right? Although ignorance is something that I pray for nightly to wake up ignorant because it would make everything so much easier.
It would.
But I think that my own problem is I know what stresses me out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know why it stresses me out. I just either can't fix it or I can't fix it or I don't fix it on purpose because, and I know this sounds insane, but fixing it would change my life in a direction that I don't want it to go necessarily. And I don't even know if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but it would change your life in a direction that you don't know, and humans don't like what they don't know. Even when we're uncomfortable, we sometimes will stay uncomfortable because we can't envision what it would look like to change it. So you've probably gotten really comfortable in what your life looks like, and so the idea of changing it drastically feels a little overwhelming. So you choose not to.
Yeah, I mean, a little terrifying. We fear what we don't understand.
Exactly.
And you don't understand what the future would be if you change it.
Right.
My master plan worked.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Jay front and center, getting a little bit of therapy on a Friday.
As a producer, before you snatch off your headset, you mute it so that everybody doesn't hear you smashing it down on the table.
That's true.
To go
That's
get
true. I apologize.
Centennial Cuts on the
Sorry,
show.
sir.
That's all right. Hello, sir. Are you?
Are we going to do that right away? I thought
Yeah,
you'd make a smooth transition
well,
with the doctor here because she probably has to go.
He's
But
over
that's-
me. That's fine.
Well, listen, you sat him down, you put a headset on him, all that, so I figured we're going right to him.
Just thought I'd get him in the conversation with us.
Well, who is he?
I don't know. You tell me.
Dr. Sara Metz. I would like to, and I forget his name because we haven't talked too
How do you
much.
forget
Luke.
Luke's name?
Hi, Luke.
Larson, Centennial Cuts, correct? That's correct. Hold on, we'll turn your microphone on.
Is Luke the one who brought you guys steaks?
He did bring us steaks.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm about to find out what kind of steaks, and we're going to learn a little bit about Centennial Cuts. Doctor, do you want to stay for this? Do you need to run? What's your thing?
She's got to go.
I got to run.
Get out of here.
But I'm sure Luke is fantastic, and he has fantastic steaks, and I'm sure it'll be a great conversation.
Well, thank you for your optimism and positivity. Sara Metz, Dr. Sara Metz from Code 4 Counseling. It's a pleasure, as always. Thank you for taking the time, and we will catch up with you tomorrow night.
Wait.
Right? You said
Doctor,
tomorrow.
Doctor, before you go.
Yes.
Question.
What?
Come in studio tomorrow night.
All right.
Will you?
Sure.
Yeah, come into the studio for the show tomorrow.
Do I have to wash my hair?
Nope.
It's good?
Come as you are. You always look lovely.
Bring Nick, though, and we'll promise not to put him on the air.
Don't bring Nick.
I'll bring Nick, but he's going to cover his entire face, so you never know him from here down.
Please, you guys come tomorrow night. Seriously.
What time?
Show starts at 6. Come at 5:30. We'll have a little wine.
We'll be there.
It's Memorial Weekend. I think we deserve that. It's time for us to get together.
It's time. It's going to be a big moment.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
We'll
Doctor.
see you tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Luke Larson, Centennial Cuts. He brought us meat.
I did.
Well, let's just jump right into who Luke Larson is, what Centennial Cuts is, where are you? Give the 30-second elevator speech.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Centennial Cuts, we're in southeast Colorado. Fowler is our ranch headquarters. We raise all the beef down there. Everything we sell under Centennial Cuts is under our own label. We are sustainable beef. Our cattle are grass raised and finished on locally grown corn and distillers' byproducts. We get all the distillers' grains from Breckenridge Distillery. And so we're going after really well marbled, juicy beef. And we take a lot of pride in that. We also market some really good summer sausage, handcrafted summer sausage. All our products are made at Mike's Meat Market in Sterling. So we keep it all Colorado. From start to finish, and are proud of that.
Bone-in ribeye is what I'm looking at right here. Look at this. Yeah, that's what's up. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Luke. Go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, we've been marketing. We're about 3 years old. We've been in the cattle business for years. We're about 3 years old as far as under Centennial Cuts. Spent several years working on what would be our best products and really fine-tuning what makes juicy beef, and we feel like we're finally there. And so we've been marketing at farmers markets. We've been doing some wholesale business with our sticks and summer sausage and gotten a lot of great feedback. And so we're ready to kind of the end game is to sell premium steaks in restaurants, and so that's kind of our next move is to try to get into some restaurants, get our beef in the hands of some chefs to give it a try. I think they'll love it. So.
Gotcha. How can people get their hands on this stuff right now? The website, is that the easiest way?
www.centennialcuts.com, and you can order it. We do deliveries, we ship, all the above.
Let me ask you this, because this is going to be my dinner tonight.
Good.
What's the difference between a traditional? Well, the ribeye inside of my head is bone free.
Yep.
So what's the difference between the bone-in ribeye and the bone-out ribeye?
It's my favorite cut. That bone just gives it a flavor that I don't think you get with the boneless ribeye. We cut them 1.5 inches thick. I personally like a medium rare to even rare, but you can. Our beef is marbled so well, even if you go well done and overcook it, it's still going to be juicy, which is what I've been after.
How would you suggest I cook this tonight?
My favorite way used to be to sear it, to use coarse salt, and then sear it on a skillet, and then throw it in the oven and broil it. But now my favorite is put it on the smoker and kind of do a reverse sear, smoke it for a little while, and then pull it off and crank it up and really hot at the end. So.
I don't have a smoker, so my plan is initially to look at this thing is to use my toaster oven.
There you go.
Right? So you're saying sear this bat? No, Greg, no toaster oven? Why not toaster oven?
I've never tried that.
Isn't a toaster oven just the same as a regular oven?
How hot does a toaster oven get?
I mean, it gets, 400.
You got a grill, dude.
Like, what do you mean by grill?
Say something with flames.
No.
Okay, well, that's your first mistake. No, please, I
gotta
implore you, do not put that in an oven.
Well, he said he broils his.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean,
that's the same thing as a toaster.
Throw that
oven,
on some
right?
flame, and you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it.
Well, okay, so I'll just build a fire in the backyard.
Burn that hot tub that's falling apart off your deck.
I'm taking that whole thing apart myself. Luke Larson from Centennial Cuts came by to bring us some steaks. And we were going to catch up with you. I know we had you and Rome Sausage on at the same time the other day, and the internet or my incompetence didn't play the part.
It was all me, I think.
The right way, and so we didn't get to catch up with you. So I'm glad you're here now. We're kind of at the end of the show, and it's Freaky Friday, and I'm on this side, so I'm totally uncomfortable. Greg, I'm sure you have a million questions that you would like to ask Luke.
No, I think I like what you do. So we'll taste it. We'll try it.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to get into restaurants? None better than getting a hold of you, Jay.
Yeah, that's right.
You know everybody in this business.
That's
and,
right.
in all seriousness.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it. And Luke's got some good stories to tell. He also believes that you got great opinions on meat and what tastes good and flavor profiles.
I know what I like anyway.
Yeah, tell people what you like.
I like that juicy flavor. That's why I like the bone-in ribeye. I like juicy. Tenderness is important, but it's not the key factor for me. To me, it's flavor and juiciness, and so that's what we really try to produce.
There's that. That's the. So what am I doing? So I'm going to take half of this stuff from Greg, even though he's going to try and steal most of it. What do I do with this beef jalapeno summer sausage with cheese, fully cooked?
Cut it up on a meat and cheese and do a meat and cheese board.
Mm-hmm. Do I heat it up or just do it cold?
Nope, just do it cold.
Just do it cold.
There are people like in the summer that'll dice it up and make a pasta salad out of it. I've had people put it in a jambalaya, but I've never done any of that. I've never cooked it. The only one, there's some people that'll cut it up and put it on the grill, like big chunks of it, and serve it with mustard. But I like it just cold, sliced on a meat and cheese board, and ready to eat.
Gotcha. Well, I don't have an open flame, so the way I eat this. Okay, so let me do this then, and then we're going to get out of here. Luke Larson from Centennial Cuts stopping by the show. Okay, so I don't have an open flame. So sear it and then broil it is kind of what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll take it off your hands.
That's what I'm going to do.
I'll bring it to you.
As I'm a giving person, you know that. I'd like to give up my half, but I just kind of don't feel like that's the right thing to do. Got to thank everybody that was on the show today, and can't remember who they all are. I'm gonna try. Did you write it down?
Sure, I did.
Right here?
I don't know that card right there.
Draft guidance? Where? I write this right here?
The card that I use. You know how I use cards?
Yeah. This guy right here.
Yep.
Obviously, Mr. Bob Pease from the Brewers Association, thank you for your time. It's always good catching up with him. Rough story for the GABF. But I'll tell you what, Greg, and I hate to giving you credit, but that is a great idea, your recommendation for the online brewers to do it that way. Katie Lazor from Eat Denver, thank you for your time, and thank you for working out vicariously for Greg and myself. EatDenver.com has a lot of great information regarding the restaurant world around us here in Colorado. Kevin McCrossin from Counterculture Brewery and Grille. He's making a lot of lemonade these days. He's a small business. I implore you to support him. Go to counterculturebrewery.com and find out ways you can donate to their efforts to giving meals to first responders, and it also helps them keep their doors open, so we would appreciate that as well as them. Larry Herz from OCN Eats. He's on the stream basically every day, and OCNEats.com. If you're somebody that wants to get more exposure for your restaurant, then Larry Herz is the guy to talk to. Dr. Sara Metz, of course, Code 4 Counseling. We will also see her tomorrow night, along with Meridium Spirits will be in studio to catch us up on what they're doing in the spirit world, how they're still adapting, and they do have some exciting news that they may or may not tell us about. I forget if he said, I don't think he's going to tell us, so that's a teaser that's going nowhere. And now, Mr. Luke Larson from Centennial Cuts, who stopped by to bring us some meat. Centennial, what's the website again, Luke?
CentennialCuts.com.
CentennialCuts.com. Go there to get some of this. I mean, come on, right? Look at this stuff.
We
right
don't know
here,
yet.
You know,
We'll know.
I'm going out on a
It's
limb
probably
and say that
delicious.
it's going to be delicious just because we've been doing this long enough.
You
For
can
my
also go to, sorry to interrupt,
Oh, yeah.
RomeSausage.com, and they have our New York strips and a few of our other steaks in their protein packs. So check them out,
That's
too.
a great point. RomeSausage.com. Oh, are you part of their $60 bundle
Not
in
the
there?
$110 bundle.
Oh, well, I mean,
or $150 bundle.
When you get steak, you know what you're
It's a
doing.
good bundle.
For myself, Greg Hollenbach, and Jay Parker, it's Freak A Friday. It's Freak A Friday. I was trying to do a good
Hey,
outro.
you did a great job, buddy boy.
Hey, thanks. So did you. Thanks for tuning in. Do you have the closed video queued?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why I done this. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night, Denver's Talk Station, 6:30 KHOW from 6 to 8 p.m. And then again on Monday from 2 to 4 right here from Studio Kitchen, Colorado. Bye.